What is happening, fam? Hope you're all doing amazing today. Sorry for the delay. My computer mouse on my house desktop died on me randomly. And then I was like, oh my God, I gotta switch over to my laptop. And then it was like, psych, it's dead too. And I'm like, oh my God. So, okay, cool. And then tell me if you guys can hear me when I plug in this headphone. Okay, so I'm gonna plug it in 3, 2, 1. Can you guys still hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know. Can you hear me? Oh, okay, awesome, perfect. Nice. Sweet. All right, so today we are channeling Thoth, the Atlantean god, the Egyptian king. Oh, sorry, the Egyptian god, the Atlantean king. He's written the Emerald Tablets. And one of the things about Thoth is that, like, I channeled him probably like 2-3 months ago, and it was a really powerful channeling. It was an amazing channeling. And then all of a sudden, it just one day disappears. And that's not the first time it's happened to me either, where I've talked to Thoth, or Thoth has given me something, and then all of a sudden it's gone and it's disappeared. So I got some questions here on Patreon of people who wanted to ask Thoth a specific question. The image you chose was a beautiful representation. Yeah. It was back today earlier. Right. It was back today earlier. That's right. All right, you guys. So we're going to set the intention that we are in the same room together right now. Take a deep breath. I hate how this cam makes me look because my screen is so warped that I look like I'm pale, at least on my end. So I'm not pale. I'm super caramel right now. So, all right. I want you to summon the energy of life. Let the energy of life run through you. Deep breath in and out, letting it go. I want you to allow yourself to invite Thoth into our reality so we can channel him. Deep breath in and out. Thoth is now here with you. I welcome you all. All right. So we're going to be channeling it. Today I'm going to be channeling a little bit differently. I'm going to be using my tarot cards as well. Sometimes they just having something in your hand kind of helps you channel. So he told me go straight up with a tarot card. We're going to be talking about family right now. So how to create a happy family and how not to be captive to the illusions of the world that is going on right now. He's saying that there's a lot of manifestation and strength that are coming through. And then now let's get started. So the first question on Patreon is, when the shift in humanity's consciousness overall reaches a certain frequency, will it mean game over for the hologram, or will the game just be reset? When the game, as you call it, enters a final culmination, it will not cease to exist, as it is continuous, based off of the consciousness of each individual, incorporated on a specific layer of their own vibration. Allow yourself to understand that all timelines and all happenstances are perpetually happening in the now. When we understand this, the hologram can never finish. The hologram may have instances in which its energy may seem destroyed, destructive, and chaotic, but its levels of experiences must continue on for the longevity of eternity and infinity. For those of you who are located at a fifth dimensional understanding, all realities around you will cease to exist without the focus of your imagination or your thought. Once you have attained this, you will be able to witness yourself, experience a reality distant or what seems distance within the mind. A figment of your imagination, a long lost memory. It will be as though it happened and it never happened, that it was now and it was never. This is the hardest illusionary measure that the humans must learn to overcome. The expansion of their consciousness will no longer choose to hold on to the memory of the things that no longer served. This is the meaning of the great harvest. When humanities coexist, one on top of another, all ever so separate from each other, while the higher connects to the lower, helping the lower understand the higher, and for those in between, nothing but eternity and existence will remain. The game can never finish. The game does not exist. The game is a construct of the mind in which you use to justify the variations of the illusion within your so-called reality. Understand this now, child, that nothing else matters other than your ascension in the now, as all else follows when this is attained. We, the masters, explain the mantra of Adonai, all else follows, as all else is, once one has come to understand and harness themselves. The illusion of a hyper-focus on the external reality and the collective will not harmonize the injustices that exist within you, in your reality time frame, is unequivocally expanding yourself too thin, when all you must do is harness the power within and be presence, the vibration of presence. The vibration of presence is not an act, it is a state of being, a frequency of being. The mind easily focuses presence as a halting matter, when presence is a vibration similar to life and all others. The grandest minds understand presence as one of the ultimate tools to reaching a form of enlightenment in which all else follows. For matter organizes and reconstructs itself around each observer. The observed has no other option but to obey the observer. All observation is individual. All observation creates perception, which is individual. When many perceptions come to understand a singularity, that becomes truth. But that truth can equally amount to a lie. So what is it that we seek as we ascend? To harness ourselves and nothing more. To help others harness themselves when they choose to come to our door. And to let go of everything else that we seem to fool ourselves into believing as just obligations. Take a deep breath. That is all for this question. So that kind of like seemed like the diagrams he was showing me was crazy. Pretty much that like there's these multiple layers on top of each other, and like whether or not you want to look at reality as a game, it's going to be a game. Or if you feel like you have this obligation to save other people, that's going to be the weight that's going to be carrying you down. And that if you understand that like right now where we're sitting with all the energies and everything that's going on, you're not supposed to be saving anybody. You're not supposed to be doing any of the work for anyone. You're supposed to just be focusing on yourself and your own work. When you're able to understand that that's all that matters in this present moment, like there is no resistance. Like you're going to automatically exist in a reality where like the more you stay there, the more distance you're going to have in your mind with the rest of this reality. So it's going to seem like a figment of your imagination, like something that like never even happened, because it's so far away in the terms of a vibration that you no longer associate yourself with, that it can't be anything other than a dream. And it's weird because he showed me like on a gateway opening as a dream, you transcending that dream, and then you coming out into another dream that you justify as your reality, looking at the past saying that it was only a dream anyway. Like nothing's real. So like a lot of people are telling themselves, oh, we got to focus on healing the collective, we got to focus on healing Mother Earth, we got to focus on doing this and doing that and doing this, when all of that is separation, all of that is illusion. Like if you are a source and you can harness yourself, you have a 10th chakra. You have a Mother Earth chakra. If you harness yourself, you automatically are harnessing the 10th chakra. So you're harnessing Mother Earth in that instance. When you harness yourself, the environment as a byproduct has to change itself. So then all the people around you that are part of the dream that you've constructed are going to get affected. But like a lot of people are dividing their attention to saying like, I got to fix the politics. I got to fix the fact that there's like racial tension. I got to fix this. Like you're trying to focus all your energy and dividing your energy on all these minute problems, where really the problem is you, yourself, your reality, and the way you've been perceiving everything. Once you change that, everything has to follow. Like people complicate it, and he just keeps showing me more diagrams. Like he's basically saying that like you guys complicate things so much. Like stop focusing on being a savior, because the gods left this dimension because they could not save anyone. Like when they left on their own accord. Like you can see that through any ascended master. Like even if you want to use Jesus ended up leaving of his own accord by himself, right? Like that was it. Like he left and he ascended on his own. He couldn't take all the people who were not even his 12 disciples, his posse, with him into Ascension. Like all he could do was share the fact that he saved himself, and he was able to understand what Ascension meant, and as a byproduct let the rest of the world shape around his own presence. And that's what like presence, again, he's talking about. Like he's bringing it back around. Like you think about presence as like this thing, like, oh, gotta shut everything off and just be in the now and not focus on anything. But really presence is a frequency. Like if you grab presence and you can harness presence the same way you can harness any other alchemy, that's the biggest battle of all. Like you can then have presence at your fingertips all the time, and you can alter matter like that, because you're no longer trying to say, I'm trying to make myself presence, but like presence is everything. Like all you have to do is be aware that your presence is external and internal, and it doesn't have to be always like a fight with yourself to become present in this moment. Like it was so powerful the way he showed me that. Hopefully that makes sense for you guys. If he chooses to offer a single emanation, invocation, meditation, or mantra to the patrons of the temple, what would be most beneficial from source? What would it be our most sincere? It would be our most sincere gratitude. So, Thoth, is there a mantra or invocation that can help us reach the next level of our understanding? Take a deep breath. The mantra is Iyanaka Iei. Iyanaka Iei. Iyanaka Iei. Iyanaka Iei. It means Iyanaka, all is present. Iei, all is nothingness. It is an Atlantean mantra that allows you to harness the potential of the universe in the present moment, unifying the above and the below into this present moment. Iyanaka Iei. E I A N A C K A I E Y E I. Iyanaka Iei. Repeat this mantra 5 times daily, when waking and when sleeping. And all the realities around you will form, allowing you to understand the veil in which you have blinded yourself from. Understand that this mantra is powerful and should not be taken lightly, as it will distort your vision, your hearing, and your perception to allow yourself to peer into other universes that are walking simultaneously next to you. If you choose to use this mantra, choose it wisely. When your mind is clear, when your mind is empty, when your mind is whole, when your mind is within love and wisdom. For Iyanaka may easily be drawn to the darker forces in which you classify as evil if your mind is not placed in the right place and your emotions are not located in the same time. Allow yourself to understand this mantra as long as you may need to. And when it is done, forget it. Allow it to run back into the ethers until another day when it may channel itself through you and through another. All else will follow. This mantra is true. Iyanaka Iei, Iyanaka Iei, Iyanaka Iei. Have no heart for anything other than Iyanaka Iei, Iyanaka Iei, Iyanaka Iei. Take a deep breath. That is all for this question for now. Okay? So there you go. Iyanaka Iei. I forgot what he said it meant, but it is basically being in presence and being in nothingness. Nothingness is presence. That's why when you meditate and you hit like these higher frequencies of your reality, you end up hitting these peaks of understanding like, oh, you're in the void, right? And you're not like having any other experience but the void. Been an awakening parent. How can I awaken my children? Some of these questions are for Patreon members. So if you want to be asking questions, you got to be posting that on the Patreon section. That's where I'm reading all these questions from. Become a patron. The link is below. What are possibilities of this dichotomy between ascension that we have not worked out yet in this realm? And is there anything we can do to choose ascension so that we focus on it more clearly? Okay, cool. Take a deep breath. What are one of the dichotomies of ascension? One of the dichotomies of ascension is to... Give me 20 seconds.
And they're making way more than me. Like they should be.
Give me 20 seconds. Give me 20 seconds. Okay. A dichotomy of ascension is that one must always be nice. Nice is to be foolish. I've spoken about this before in our last transmission. The origin of words constructs the matter in which you exist and how you begin to interact with others. Ascension is not about being nice. Ascension is not about blindly loving and giving yourself to any one particular direction. Ascension is understanding the power that is deep within and the choices that come with that power. One of the dichotomous understandings of this dimension is believing that in order to attain ascension in its wholehearted entirety, that one must choose to be naive and let go of all of their intuitive knowledge when it comes to understanding the nature of others. To understand the nature of others is not to place judgment, unless judgment is being placed with an ill will emotion. That is to say, one can observe another and observe vibration and observational fact, remaining neutral with an emotion and understanding that in order to ascend, it was imperative to understand the dynamics of said individual, and that if one chooses to ascend, one must use the abilities that they have in making choices as creators in their ascension. In this time, it is imperative for you to understand that every vibration you sense is true and will guide you to the next door that needs to be opened. If you allow yourself to use your subconscious and the illusion of humility that the humans have given you to understand your ascension, you will limit your ascension, you will stifle your ascension, and eventually become stagnant. When stagnancy has been reached, death surely follows. One must understand that loving unconditionally does not mean that we must cease to love others. It means that the dynamics of love in which you've come to understand must be modified, changed, and bent to a new world ethic. We in Atlantis came to understand that unconditional love was empowering each individual while empowering ourselves. Unconditional love was confronting those who didn't choose to love themselves enough to be honest and authentic with themselves. And for those who chose to resist the presence of love, which was confrontation of authenticity, or by reciprocating with an energy, or by understanding oneself, sheerly for the pleasure of understanding, we allowed them in love to exist elsewhere. For our love for ourselves was a dominant vibration that we cultivated as a society. Each individual loved themselves enough to have so much in abundance to create a utopia, the great Atlantis in which I once ruled. The great Atlantis that you all deeply remember and continue to seek deep within your hearts. What you have forgotten is that Atlantis ran on love. Love of the self, love of the community. For love could not be given to the community if love wasn't attained personally first. After some time, when people began to love each other as a natural process of existence because they loved themselves and they chose to make boundaries designed for ascension love or fifth dimensional love, we naturally thrived and we created new structures, new technologies, and new states of existence that the human mind today could never fathom and begin to understand. For we lived in a different reality with vibrations far higher than the ones that you see today. Your acceleration is coming quick. The harvest is now. You are each being shifted into the proper dimensional slots that will allow you to thrive based off of the limitations you have sought to place on yourself. That is to say, the limitations that you have sought to place on yourselves. As co-creators, you have been given each a chance to transcend your illusions. You still have time in terms of your linear existence to align yourself with the shifts necessary. But we are no longer integrating beings into the fifth dimension alone. We're integrating up into the eighth and the ninth dimensions of existence and understanding. As there are many beings that have now awakened to the full potential of their abilities, understanding that everything and nothingness all equate to the grand soul. When one has come to understand this, this is ninth dimensional existence. Those existing above fifth dimensional ley lines will still exist on the fifth dimension to help those on the fifth dimension expand themselves into a higher sense of being. One other dichotomy is understanding that the shadow and evil should be combated, fought against, destroyed, when all reality states that consciousness dominates the vibration and polarity of everything that follows. One must simply understand the truth behind the dynamics of fear, envy, jealousy, ignorance, greed, malice, hatred, injustice, to rebirth. Evil has no sway. Evil is a construct. Evil takes form, for evil is something manifested. The evils of this world taking form in your visual presence is only a manifestation of a darker truth within you. To blame others or those emanating and generating the evil so easily into your realities, to blame them is to refuse the responsibility in which you have granted this action to take place. For you have given your power away, if not in this layer of reality, other layers in which you call multiple lifetimes. You have trained yourself to give your power away through the illusion of not being powerful. You have chosen to give your power away for not preserving the ancient texts in which all the masters from all over have given you. For we are all now, and we only fade in and out of your reality when you have chosen to interact with us and when your vibrations have chosen to be in alignment with us. We have left of our own accord, for we have seen humanity choose to be in a lower density vibration of its own accord. We, the masters, have no interest in saving those of this planet, for they must save themselves as co-creators, as source. We, the masters, will only come in and intervene to allow the knowledge of the ancient wisdom in which you've manifested and created deep within yourself to become ever present, ever powerful, and ever expansive. That is not to say that we do not love the beings that are on other dimensions, that seek our help and don't seek our help. We are conscious of the fact of a famous mantra that rotates on your orb. You cannot lead a horse to water and force it to drink. All you can do is bring it into the presence of its refreshment, of its movement, of its memory, of its consciousness of the universe, and allow it to drink from the cosmic stream. All else follows. That is all for now. Okay. Is there anything we who have chosen Ascension should be most focused on? I'm pretty sure he like answered that earlier. You gotta focus on yourself. You gotta let go of like all that BS. You gotta let go of that illusion. That's something definitely I've been learning recently. Like actually that was a lesson that I had like 2 days ago where somebody messaged me and this person like literally never responds to anything I have to say or like even like gives me the time of day, and I just kind of like scratched it off, and then out of nowhere I got a text message from this person, and I instantly like I looked at the text message, I didn't even read it yet, and I just knew that okay, this person text messaged me, poof, they want something from me, and I instantly knew that they wanted something from me because like I have a big following on social media and stuff like that. And when I opened the text, and I opened the text still telling myself like, oh, maybe it's just like, you popped in their mind because you guys were thinking about each other or something. And like, you had like a telepathic moment where you aligned yourselves. Right. And me still kind of trying to like be the nice guy and lie to myself and be like, oh, maybe it's all in your head. Maybe you're just being like, maybe you're just jaded from other experiences that you've had with this person. Like, don't go into like opening this text message with that kind of energy. And then the moment I open the text message, bam, what I sensed before I even opened the text message, when I just saw their name, was literally what was all about that text message. Like, hey, can you follow this one page and like do this one promotion for me? Blah, 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 blah. Like, I haven't heard from you in like 6 months. Like, are you kidding me? Right. And in that moment, I kind of had that like, whoa, like I chose not to listen to myself because I wanted to give this person the benefit of the doubt. And like, I'm far too in alignment with myself not to pay attention to that. And once I came to that conclusion, I literally had that same thing happen like 4 other times and 4 different ways with 4 other people, where like even the numerology was even telling me like, hey, you should let this person go. Rather it was a client, like, I don't want to work with this person anymore. Here, how about I just like, wrap up our thing, our contract, and I send you somewhere else. Or, it was letting go of a friend or something. It was more so like being like, I don't owe anybody anything. And that was like a really powerful moment for me because he was talking to me through it. And he was just like, you don't owe anybody anything. Like, who got you to your ascension? Me. Hello. I got myself to this level right here. Did I have gurus? Totally. But did my gurus like carry me on their back and walk me up the steps of ascension? No. They definitely did not. They just gave me information to align myself with a higher truth. And if I wanted that truth, I had to do what I needed to do to get there, regardless if it was like going homeless or, letting go of a relationship that I wanted, or even just realizing that like, I'm not who I say I am. And that was something that was so powerful when he kind of like highlighted the nice guy thing. It's like, right now I am, I'm launching this week Antojai 2, and it's a workshop. So like seats are closed, you can't get in, but while I was designing this, I've been designing this course, I've been able to like really look at it and be like, hey, I love showing people how to heal themselves and stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I like teaching alchemy, but there's this part of me, this dark, chaotic version of me that loves to fuck with people. I love it. I love it because I understand how the mind works. So when I want you to evolve beyond your own limitations, I can easily orchestrate like an experiment or a whole reality or multiple different elements to make you mind fuck yourself. And the whole entire time, you don't even know what's coming, like, where is it coming from? And like to some people, that can seem like evil or malicious or hatred, or, like there's this like nastiness inside of me that thrives for that. But no, it's like, I'm not afraid of my shadow. Like, I've conquered my shadow because I've been like, I'm going to conquer you whatever way I got to go about it, like stepping alternatively, to the side, or confronting you head on. Like, that's been my whole thing. I don't care how I got to get done. Like, when you want to evolve, tough shit, the truth is not always pleasant. You know what I mean? So it was like this very powerful thing where I was like, I even had to come to this understanding that like a year ago or so, my life started not feeling so in alignment because, being somebody who's on social media and like you're helping all these other people, when a person, when you're giving your heart out to the world and then you get a couple people who are talking shit about you and then like they want to attack you personally, that can drain you. And then you kind of like step away a little bit from like being who you fully are to kind of like curve all the negative information that's trying to be thrown at you, which is essentially just your shadow trying to say like, don't be who you are, don't be authentic with who you are. That's why you're getting all this response, this negative response, right? It's only negative because you're creating it because you're not aware of the fact that your shadow's trying to like manipulate you into being in a corner, right? So it was like, it was this really powerful moment where I was like, you know what, like I kind of, when I first started teaching people, like especially quantum reiki, I had this serious like no bullshit kind of energy where it was just like, rather you came here to conquer it or you didn't. If you get it, you got it. If you didn't get it, too bad, go home, figure it out, or hustle until you figure it out, right? And some people didn't like that. And then I wanted to be more like universal with everyone. And now I'm at this point where I'm like, no, like that's what makes me happy. I like testing people. I like people being outside of the comfort zone because when you're outside of your comfort zone, you're forced to grow. Like if you're not growing, you're dying. And if you're comfortable, you're definitely dying because you're never going to grow. And I remember one of my gurus, and I've shared this on Patreon before. One of my gurus one day, like I was at his monastery, like just chilling. And I was there for a couple weeks. And he literally one day just like kicked me out. And he was like, never grow comfortable. Like you grew comfortable here. There's nothing here for you to learn. The moment you became comfortable was the moment that you stopped doing what you were supposed to be doing, which was working on yourself. And then he just kicked me out and I had to like figure it out. And it took me years to figure out I understand what he meant because I was just going to be stuck there in a loop if I didn't recognize that I got comfortable, right? So then fine, I'm going to just not sugarcoat things anymore. And lately that's what I've been doing. Like, I did this whole series of, the fuck it meditations, you know what I mean? Like most people don't know that side of me. I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like whether you're here for where we're going or you're not. And like, if you want me to like hold your hand, bye. What messages would he like to share about beginning the path of alchemy and maintaining the path of alchemy? What are the necessary components of duality that must be understood to reach full creator? He already said, like, I just heard him say, I've already spoken on this as well. Again, it's just like being real with yourself. You got to be real with yourself. You got to understand that, like the greater family, and that's another thing that I'm channeling right now. The greater family, he wants you to understand is this vibration that exists inside of you. Like you think of like family as this external thing, and you think about family as like the guides and stuff like that. But really, like, what is the greater family? Like you are this macrocosm and microcosm, you have to say that you are your own divine family, because everything else is generating from you. Like, a lot of times we fool ourselves into alchemy and saying like, oh, my family that I was born with just doesn't get me, so I had to go out and I had to create my own family. Or, oh, I have to go channel my soul family so we can be together and we can live happily ever after. Or, oh, my guides are my family. Like, you always have this bullshit excuse to like give yourself to the other side and say like, hey, something outside of me, rather metaphysical or physical, is going to answer like this gap that I have inside of myself when it comes to like saying that I am complete with like a family like structure, right? So like, really what it comes down to is like, you need to harness like the galactic family is you. Like, everything else is going to manifest itself, create itself as an observance and an experience when you understand that you're not looking for anything outside of yourself. Not even the galactic family. Like, you are it, you are carrying it, you are creating it, you are always it, you are one next to it. Like, it's so hard to explain, but really ultimately, if you want that massive shift in your reality, you need to stop manifesting. And I've been talking about this for a hot minute, and I've been teaching on Patreon specifically, like, how not to do that anymore. Like, we live in a new reality, and that's been some of the stuff that Thoth has been seriously teaching me about. We live in a new reality where the law of attraction is totally outdated. Everything you learn from The Secret, everything that you learn from like, oh yeah, let me journal, let me do this, let me do that, that's gonna work for a certain dimensional reality of people. That's it. Like, for if you're watching this broadcast, you need to get out of that mindset of manifesting, because all you're trying to do is move matter. You need to put yourself in this potential of like, what do I want? Where am I? Like, do I want anything really? Or is it that I need to understand something inside of myself? And that's one of those things that like has become very powerful, because a lot of people think that like knowledge is understanding. But what's that other part of knowledge? The other part of knowledge is you feeling it. So we've been told so many times, like through the law of attraction and magnetism, that like, okay, you need to like think a thought and feel it, right? Well, what about your knowledge? Like, isn't every piece of knowledge that you carry already like a thought form? Isn't it technically alchemy already? Why aren't you feeling the magic behind whatever it is that you've learned? If you've learned that time really isn't real, why are you just letting it be a thought in your mind? Why are you just saying like, oh yeah, like I had that one synchronicity. Yeah, that really showed me that time isn't real that one time. Like, you're being dumb. You're like being a clown essentially, because you need to understand that like, oh shit, like, okay, I understand that time doesn't exist. All right, fine. Man, I'm running 15 minutes late. Chillax. Time doesn't exist. I can always text that person, or it's all gonna work out. So like, everything's in alignment. Guaranteed, when you switch your mind like that, you'll notice that, oh, you're 15 minutes late. Surprise, that person's not gonna get to the appointment 5 minutes after the time that you're supposed to get there, because time doesn't exist. So you have to have that vibration of like, oh, I'm not gonna sweat it. But a lot of people forget about that. A lot of people are just like, oh yeah, psychic abilities are a real thing. You want to know how I train myself to like evolve with the knowledge that Thoth has given me to become more psychic and more powerful? If I did it once, I can do it again. If I did it once, like however I did it, I can do it a second time even easier. To the point that, the first time I bent the weather when I was like, I don't know, 17, 16, okay, that was way more difficult than it is now. Like, I can literally do it with a breath if I really felt like it, and I can feel the wind move or the sun shine, because I trained myself perpetually to be like, oh, if I did it once, I can do it again way more easy. Like, the hardest part was doing it the first time. That was it. Okay. So then you have to live in that lifestyle of like, oh, I can bend the weather whenever. Like, that's not really hard at all. And some people will talk to you and they'll be like, you're crazy. Like, you can bend the weather. Say what? Yeah, I can really do it. Like that. And even when they see it, they'll choose to say, oh, it's a coincidence or whatever, until you've done it so many times where they can't deny it. And only the ignorant will deny it anyway. But then at that point, why do you need their fucking validation anyway, when you know you've done it so many times that if they don't want to live in a vibration of understanding that there's people who can do it and that they can master it for themselves, or hey, they can hang out with people who are supernatural, right? What's the point of even giving your energy to it? There is no point. There's nothing to do. And that's where, like, your knowledge has to become reality. I made a meme about that like a couple years ago. What suggestions do you have for us right now during this shift on Earth? Any suggestions on how we need to shift or change on how to stay grounded with what's going on? So he just said first, again, he's repeated this question, but he said the main focal point of understanding is to be in alignment with yourself. Understanding that everything here is unreal now. The dream has come to a climax in which it is so distorted, many are realizing that it is unholy and unreal. It is imperative to understand that all your perceptions of reality, all the knowledge that you've acquired, are part of an old earth, still relevant for your growth, but unnecessary for your ascension. What do you mean by that? Like, still relevant for your growth, but unnecessary for your ascension? Doesn't it mean, don't you need that to ascend? No, not necessarily. Your growth is based off of the understanding of what you've gathered within matter. To ascend, which is a different perception of growth, one must understand to abandon what structures have been used to create foundations upon foundations. In the terms of grounding, this would be the most holy of groundings, to understand that the foundation in which you have been walking and the foundation in which you know everything to be is ultimately faulty, like a sinkhole, and that it will all surely fall if you are not conscious of the fact that you must abandon the space to become familiar with a new space and build anew. That is all for now and for this question. Okay. That's pretty grounding. Like, that's another thing I've been downloading lately. Everything about here, like in my Antojai class last week, I talked about how I'm like bored with reality. I feel like I understand manifestation so well that at this point, there's nothing I can't have. Like, 100%. Like, if I don't have it yet, it's because I guess I don't really want it that bad, right? Or I don't need it, really. Everything that I've been meditating for the last couple of weeks, everything I've ever wanted has literally come true. Doesn't matter what it was. If I wanted a certain partner with certain looks, if I wanted to create a new aspect of business, bam. It's all been in the present moment of the now, and understanding that, like, this is all fake. This doesn't matter anymore. Like, the law of attraction as we know it doesn't matter. Like, the bullshit that they're trying to feed you to distract you from your reality doesn't matter. Like, is it happening? Is it hard for you to, like, not get swallowed into the drama? Totally. But that's the whole point of the illusion, is to get swallowed into the drama. Like, you can't solve an issue from the same level of consciousness that's creating it. So, like, if the problem is the third dimension and all the organization of the third dimension, because there doesn't seem to be an order to the chaos, but there really is. All chaos is ordered, regardless of whether or not you want to, like, recognize that. And if you look at the patterns of a leopard, you can see that like there's an order to it, but it's chaotic at the same time. It can't be predictable. And we have this image of this reality that this is all ran by chaos. No, like there is an order that is designed to make it look chaotic. That's a different story. Like, when you're in that vibration of understanding, there's a greater order behind this. This is all being orchestrated so that it looks like chaos, so I can get swallowed into chaos, so I can get swallowed into the matter, so I can get swallowed into the illusion, so I can forget who I am. Has that not been the journey of ascension that you've been walking through? That, like, you woke up and you were like, who am I, right? And you started dismantling reality. Like, that's the biggest thing right now, is like, you've become so awake that at this moment, why are you still choosing to grasp and hold on to this reality and interact with this reality. Attachment is the root of all suffering. We know that. We totally know that. But yet we fail to understand that, like, hey, if this reality isn't serving us anymore, why are we attached to it? The only person who's still interacting with the suffering is you, because you don't want to let it go. And that's what, like, last month, June, with all the retrogrades that were going on, it was owned by Osiris, it was owned by Isis, and occasionally Horus stepped in, and like, they were just telling you straight up, let a bunch of things die. That's why last month was so difficult for so many people, because they had to confront their shadows, they had to choose to destroy things, regardless of being for their own, you know, cooperation or other. Like, you had to choose to let go of the things that no longer served you, and you had to be conscious of the fact that, like, hey, you're only living in fear because you chose to hold on to the fear. And that was something that was super powerful for me. Like, I had this moment where I was sitting here with my partner, and I, like, this thing came up talking about, like, I don't even remember how it even came up. It just, like, when it came up, I was just like, holy crap. I hustle so much to do so many things. And the masters have been telling me for a long time, just stop doing stuff. Like, you don't have to do anything. Like, literally, like, you're taken care of if you stop just doing everything. You choose to make videos because you like making videos and you like educating people, but you don't even need to do that. And then, like, in that same breath, like, I heard my shadow be like, yeah, but if you stop hustling, you're gonna go back to a 9 to 5. You're gonna go to a 9 to 5, and you're gonna go back to, like, living in the corporate world, and you hate the corporate world. And it was like this fear where I was like, damn, like, I haven't worked in a corporate setting forever. Like, why is that still my motivation to achieve success or, like, create my future? My fear of falling into a 9 to 5 again. That didn't make any sense to me. And that was a fear that I've been carrying for over 10 years. And I'm like, holy crap. Well, is that true? No. Have I gotten everything that I've ever wanted in my manifestations? Totally. Okay, so are you ever going to go back to living a 9 to 5 at a corporate job? No, because that's not what I'm manifesting. So why the fuck am I holding on to that? And that was like that moment where I was like, woofs. Like, I choose love in this in this moment to replace this fear. I love the fact that I'm never gonna go back to working a 9 to 5. I love the fact that I'm not going to do that. Now, you know, some people believe in Murphy's Law, right? Or sorry, the Mandela effect, which is like, you know, if you say always or never, then, like, reality is going to show you that that's not true. That's a level of chaos that is still in victimization. So even me right now saying never, I heard, you know, that methodology, and I kind of got like, you should be careful, Axel, with what you say. But it's not even that. Like, okay, nothing is perfection, so I can't say never, and I can never say always, because we know perfection doesn't exist unless you were God and source itself, and you abandon your need to be everything and want to do anything, right? So, like, I know that I'm not manifesting going back to a 9 to 5. I'm not afraid to go back to a 9 to 5, because first of all, I'm not manifesting that. What's to be afraid of if that's not my objective? So why are we still talking about it? Bam, that's it. And it's been, like, super powerful. It's been resonating in so many different areas of my life of, like, where's that fear? Find the fear and instantaneously turn it to love. The same way that I was like, oh man, I'm afraid of going back to that 9 to 5. I love the fact that I'm not going back to a 9 to 5, that I haven't had to work a 9 to 5 for the last 10 years. Like, for real, let me just switch that real quick with love. And some people are always just like, oh my God, I got to switch fear into love, or I got to switch to an opposite polarity. And you think in your mind, because you're human and you think linearly about, like, how your body works and how the dynamics of reality work, that you're going to have to spend the next, like, 25 years trying to heal yourself, or you got to do this or that, when really, like, your healing and everything that you're doing in your life comes back down to the fact of whether or not you're attached to matter. You want to know what's the greatest addiction of all? And I was sharing this on Patreon. Your addiction to matter. If you're addicted to shopping, you're addicted to matter. You're 3D. If you're addicted to the news and finding out politics and like how shit's gonna pan out, you're addicted to matter. You're 3D. If you're still focusing on what somebody did to you 20 years ago for whatever reason, all right, you're addicted to matter. Who's feeding the addiction? You. Why is Thoth telling you to go ahead and like cut that shit out and like focus on yourself? Because you're the only person that can break the addiction. If you've ever had a friend that has had a serious addiction problem, you can try to take them somewhere, and if they don't want to go, they can't be helped. They can't be helped. Nobody will help them. They have to come to a conclusion of rock bottom. Every person has to come to that conclusion, whether it's through the experience of the dark night of the soul or the experience of just like one day they're just, I'm done with this, right? I woke up, oh, I'm not going to show up to work tomorrow. I quit today. Whatever that is, remember the focal point of the now with the information that Thoth is giving us. Focus on yourself. Everything is going to follow. Detach from matter and understand that whatever it is that is trying to bring you back into matter constantly, that's your addiction. That's your cycle. That's what's boo boo, boo boo. There's at some point it's going to come back and it's going to work against you and it's going to draw you back into your reality and make you feel less than. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So, hopefully this was a decent channel. Like, this is a little bit different than how I normally do it. Because he was more so talking to me telepathically and kind of just like giving me vibes. So if you guys like this, let me know. Marcella says, this is so awesome. Keeping my fingers crossed that this doesn't get deleted. You and me both. Oh my gosh, all this resonates so deeply and reaffirming recent downloads and lessons. Yes. Grateful to Thoth and Antojai. Yay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're always straight shooter. Thank you, thank you. Let's see what else we got in here. Even for that awakening parent, question, if you're still here, Melissa, like straight up, like you got your answers, even though we didn't directly answer your question, like you still got your answer. You know what to do. Focus on your kids, like, with whatever we gave today, help them understand that. And sometimes you can't explain it to people. You got to just live a lifestyle. That's something I've also definitely been doing. Some of my friends have commented about it where like, I'm on my own beat. I'm on my own schedule. I'm vibing at my own speed. If you get it, you get it. If you're a part of it, you're a part of it. And the less you try to fight me on my organic rhythm, the more you're going to be a part of my rhythm. And two of my friends have really realized that, where like whenever they try to work against like what's really good for me, even if they're doing it subconsciously, something just, nope, we're not going to talk for like a couple of weeks. And it's not me doing it. It's just like my reality is manipulating everything. And when they choose to like say like, okay, I'm going to hang out with Axel when it's divine time, bam, everything just happens. It's beautiful. It's divine. Love yourself. That's the main thing. Like, you got to love yourself. That's something else I've been really focusing on lately, is like love. Just love yourself. Like, love your body, love your soul, love the journey that you walked on. There's a lot of times where you're going through these shifts and I could have done things differently. You could have, but would you be right here right now? Even if right now you're not happy, that's okay. It gives you the motivation to what? Continue to grow. Because if you're not happy and you're aware of that and you're choosing to make a difference, you are growing, you are alive, you're not dying. That's something that's beautiful. And the only way you're going to choose to like grow even faster and more beautifully is understanding that everything happened for a reason. You're here right now for a reason. Everything played out in a certain fashion because you wanted it and needed it to happen that way. So why beat yourself up? Why have any negativity towards anything? Love yourself. If you don't like something about yourself, instead of having that natural propensity of like, oh God, I hate this. Like, I have thunder thighs, and that's something I've really been doing lately. Quarantine, people got fat, straight up. I got this fat booty over here. I can literally twerk with it if I really felt like it. But it hurts my back because I can't do it. So, you know, I could have, for a while I was like, oh man, God, like you gotta go to the gym. Look at you, you're a cow. And then instantly I started having this download like, yo, love your body. Maybe the reason why you keep gaining weight is because you haven't told your body, I love you. And then I started talking to my body and I started talking to my thighs and I was like, listen, you might be stressed. The reason why you might be holding on to that fat is because you're afraid of something that I'm not paying attention to. Will you talk to me? Let's do this together. Like, I love you. I think you're beautiful. Like, and I know that I haven't been giving you that love. I'm sorry. Like, I love you though. Like, you are beautiful and I'm willing to work with you. Started doing that. I'm not kidding you. Like, in less than 2 days, I lost 5 pounds and I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything but talk to my thighs and tell them, you're beautiful. You're awesome. Like, I'm sorry I've been a dick. I'm sorry that I haven't chosen to talk to my body because I've chosen to look at my body as this mechanism that's in 3D, right? That isn't as important as me as a whole, because essentially my soul is what's constructing this vessel. If there's something off on this vessel, there's something off in my soul. Regardless if it's like a heart condition or it's a freaking like sore tooth, whatever, my soul is out of alignment with the vessel that I designed. When I put that back together, the rest of it's going to go back down to normal. I'm going to lose the weight. I'm going to feel amazing. That's the secret, because a lot of times we get caught into the matter. And what does matter naturally make you do? It makes you think in a negative fashion. That's what it's there for. If you read a lot of esoterica, after a while will give you this clue that everything that is manifested or everything that is matter is essentially partially evil. And if you think about the natural way a human thinks, especially recently I posted this video about like changing just a vocabulary in your word, in your mind to become more psychic, changing eyes to we's. Literally, when you think in eyes, the world is so much more difficult. When you think in we's, hold up. Why am I stressing out so much? It ain't that hard. I ain't doing this by myself. Like, what? Why am I making reality that much more difficult for me, right? And that's what it comes down to. Like, when something happens to you, you have this natural propensity to like fight or flight, but you don't have to do either. You can easily be like, hey, instead of fight or flight, how about I choose to mend and nurture, or nurture and love? That can be your new response system. You just train yourself to do that a couple times, do it on autopilot, and everything follows. Everything follows. That should be your mantra. When you do something, everything follows. All you need to do is work on yourself and everything follows. Stop focusing on all this crap out here. Do you, and you're going to see how everything follows. So I'm sending you all my love. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, check out the link in the description below. Book a free clarity call with me. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, give this video a like, and check out my Instagram too, because I'm going to be posting some really juicy stuff on there at Antojai. Share this with as many people as you can, and review this if something didn't click, or if you have like a day where you're just cooking and all of a sudden you just think about, you see this clip right here, you just see that. If this gets put in your mind and you're just like, you're cooking and you just see that, come back right here. Watch this video again. That means there's something here that you need to download again. The more times you download channelings, the more your reality starts shifting. Channelings are essentially like reading an esoteric book, but live, So sending you all my love. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend.